Okay, moving on to ripple. I know we all know what ripple does, but the hotkeys are the R key, turn ripple on and off. So that's going to toggle ripple on and off by hitting the R key. And what does ripple do? Obviously, when you make a adjustment, you're going to ripple the frames afterwards to move forward. So I lift it up, it obviously ripples up. I drop this down, it ripples everything back. That's pretty straightforward stuff. We know that. And there's also a hotkey, just like the snap, to enable and disable ripple while you are in the manipulation or moving your clips around. But you got to be careful with this because it's not really an on and off action. It is an on and off action once you start to edit or manipulate the segment. So for example, ripple's on right now. If I pick this up, you'll notice that it shifted over automatically. The ripple took place. But if I hold the Alt key, now I've turned off ripple. And if I drop this down, I'm going to do an override. As you see, that's what I just did. Let me undo that. And let's turn ripple off. Hit the R key. So now if I lift this up, I create the gap because I'm in override mode. But if I hold Alt, I turn ripple back on, and now I'm basically in insert mode. And if I drop this right here, everything's going to ripple afterwards, but that gap is still there. Understand when you hold the Option or the Alt key, it's actually going to change the effect of ripple once you start to manipulate the object, not the initial action that's going to take place in the timeline. So think about using this hotkey, the Alt key, to turn ripple on and off when you're manipulating your clips, as I just did the timeline, where I'm moving it around and suddenly I want it to be in ripple mode or I want it to not be in ripple mode. When you're doing your edits, when you're doing your roll edits, it's very handy then. You can enable and disable ripple depending upon if it's on or off while you're doing your edits. And then also when you're doing your drag and drops from your media library, it's going to again turn ripple on and off depending upon the position that it's in. When you're dragging the clips into your timeline, you can use the Alt key to enable and disable it. But when you're manipulating, let me undo that. When you're manipulating in the timeline, understand that holding the Option key or the Alt key, whichever one you call it, does change the ripple effect, but only after you lift and start making the adjustment.